Welcome back to the news at 10. The Niger State government is calling for a speed-up of all federal government projects, especially roads, to ease the burden of commuting on its citizens. It also wants the federal government to urgently address the problem of epileptic power supply, which it says is now a major contributor to the rising unemployment and crime rate in the state. The Deputy Governor made the observations while hosting the project's inspection team of the federal government at the Government House in Minna, led by top officials of the Ministry of Power Works and Housing.
The minister and his team of inspectors made their first stop at Mokwa, where he inspected the ongoing repairs on the collapsed Tatabu Bridge. The work is at 95% completion, and the minister, as well as the Niger State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructural Development, Mr. Ibrahim Balarabe, are satisfied with the quality of work done so far.
The bridge is near completion. We have a commitment from the contractor that mid-June, inshallah, he will deliver this road.
Once this project is completed, it will give us a lot of relief, because the failure of this bridge before it affects any other person in the country affects Niger first.
Next was the expansion of Bida's substation plant from 60 MVA capacity to 120 MVA, currently at about 89% completion. The minister is optimistic that the work, when completed, will help address the power problems faced in Bida and other neighboring communities.
We went to Kogi, Kwara, and today we are in Niger. All of them put together, they are an agricultural state, nothing more than agriculture. So once you have enough power supply, then you go into agro-processing, and it is power-driven. So that is the essence. That is why you see this concentration. Anywhere we go, it's agri.
Other projects inspected by the minister in Niger State include the 700 megawatt Zungeru hydropower project, Mina Suleja Road, amongst others. Before leaving Niger State, Mr. Suleiman Hassan paid a courtesy visit to Governor Abubakar Bello at the Government House in Minna, but was received by the Deputy Governor, who commended the federal government for the various intervention projects.
I believe before you leave Niger State, the Commissioner works to avail you all the important roads that are not motorable now within the state. And road coping way for economy. If there's no good road, the economy will not be improved. So we believe that the federal government will do everything possible to make sure some of those roads are being taken care of.
Niger State, with the highest landmass in Nigeria, serves a major link to other states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, which makes it strategic and, like other states, requires attention in terms of infrastructural development.
The federal government says it expects the focused labs for the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan to bring in total investments worth $22.5 billion and create over 500,000 jobs by 2020. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, made the remark at the Open Day event to mark the conclusion of the first phase of the ERGP lab in Abuja. He announced that since the launch of the labs in March this year, 164 projects have been identified for potential investment.
Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo leads top government officials at this event to mark the closing of the first phase of the focused labs of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. For over 6 weeks, the labs focused on agriculture, transportation, power, gas and manufacturing and solid minerals. Professor Osinbajo, who flagged off the closing of the first phase, presented the outcomes of these initial labs and elicited feedback from the public.
The ERGP Focus Labs have succeeded in identifying more than $22.5 billion in private investments from about 164 projects that can be unlocked. Of this amount, $10.9 billion of them are what we call most ready projects. That is, that we're almost sure to unlock these projects and accelerate their delivery by the private sector.
The Focus Labs are designed as workshop-styled, closed-door investment fora involving 180 organizations, including the relevant ministries, government agencies, authorities and private sector companies in 6 core areas. According to the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, $4.73 billion worth of investments was identified in the Agriculture and Transport Lab, with a potential to create about 129,000 jobs. In the manufacturing and processing sector, about $9.25 billion worth of investments was identified, with about 378,000 new jobs expected to be created. In the power and gas sectors, investment opportunities identified were valued at about $8.57 billion, with the potential to create about 7,200 jobs.
On the whole, the labs were able to identify 164 projects spread out over all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
The government expects that the investment projects identified in the Focus Labs will span beyond 2020, and that by projection, the cumulative investment value of the projects could rise to $39.12 billion by 2025 and create over 700,000 jobs.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma, and welcome to Business News. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, wants Nigeria's procurement laws amended for eligibility purpose. The minister made this recommendation at a policy dialogue in celebration of the World Facility Day, stressing the need for job creation through a maintenance-based economy.
The work side of education goes to Ministry of Works. The energy side of education, and as you might be aware, we are planning to build independent power plants for 37 universities and 7 teaching hospitals in Nigeria. That budget again won't be in the Ministry of Education's budget, and there are so many other things that won't be in the education in the Ministry of Education. But if you add that up, it's a massive investment that the Buhari government is making in education. Also, we found out that bridges across the country had seen little, if any, maintenance over the last 40 years. We've developed a 3-year plan for that intervention, and it will cost us $277 billion to do that. So if those young engineers are listening to me, that is where the current government spend in my ministry will be: repair, maintenance, rehabilitation. What we are trying to do to open up opportunities for those small businesses is to amend the procurement law. Currently, the conditions for eligibility are too onerous for small businesses.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, leading financial services group FBN Holdings, is consolidating on its achievement in financial technology revolution in Africa. At the group's 6th annual general meeting held in Lagos, the board of directors gave account of the bank's performance as well as an outlook for the future. A dividend of 25 kobo was also approved for the year ended 2017.
It's been about a year since the last FBN Holdings annual general meeting. And for these investors and the board of directors, there's definitely a lot to catch up on. The national anthem sets the ball rolling, an evidence of the group's unwavering commitment to the Nigerian dream. The new company secretary reels out the business of the day, and deliberations begin in earnest.
Mr. Chairman.
Issues are raised, and the management team competently handles them. Then comes every shareholder's delight, the announcement of dividend.
In the total sum of 8 billion 973,823,198, which translates to 25 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company.
The shareholders approve of it and even express confidence.
Over 100 years experience. It's not a joke. And their performance are superb.
Gross earnings grew by 2.3% to 595.4 billion naira, while profit before tax more than doubled to 56.8 billion naira despite economic challenges. Members of the board share some insight into this achievement.
First Bank has set up a digital laboratory where we're working on our own, but more importantly, we also partner with independent fintechs to ensure that we remain in the forefront of innovation, and we continue to delight our various customers with new products, with new creativity.
We're on the right trajectory. We have been able to bring costs down, been able to work down the NPL, and therefore delinquency is coming down. The loan book is looking a lot better. And for us, the outlook for 2018 is even more exciting.
The successful completion of the 6th AGM of FBN Holdings signals the beginning of yet another exciting chapter in the company's rich history.
Nigeria's stock market extended their downbeat sentiment into a second trading day this week due to heavy sell-off in high-value bank stocks. Teniola Shobowale has the details of today's transactions.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Heavy profit taking from 4 Tier 1 bank stocks dragged the local equities market further into negative territory at the close of Tuesday's trading, despite a rebound from 3 other key sectors. The impacts of the sell pressure pulled the market's total value back by 22 billion naira, while the benchmark index fell by 12 basis points. On the price chart, 25 losers were led by a 9.52% decline in the shares of Veritas Capital Assurance, while Sovereign Trust Insurance is top out of 12 gainers. Total volume of shares traded for the day remains within 200 million units, largely driven by investors' preference for the shares of GT Bank, UBA and Fidelity Bank. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shobowale.
Thank you, Teniola. U.S. equities have ended today's trading session mostly lower, following a surge in interest rates and disappointing Home Depot first quarter earnings. In the meantime, it's mixed close for other major global markets. Let's check out the numbers for today. That's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Owaldo. It's back to you, Joma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, heavy security presence in Lyon, France, as Spanish giants Atletico Madrid get set to face Olympique Marseille in the final of the UEFA Europa League tomorrow. That's on sports. Please stay with us.